Hello everybody, BubblesEst here and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. In today's video I'm going to be showing how By Blood alone has completely broken the Soviet Civil War. So, let's get started. First things first, research slots, it's standard electronics, industry and so on. For civs, it's just going to be mill spam. For actual mills and dockyards though, it's going to be weapons and convoy spam. For the army, let's gather it up and break it up into some equal stacks. We're also going to be changing over the tanks over to infantry to keep the tank stockpile safe. Something like this will do, and we're going to park it now on the Finnish border. Next up, let's make an intelligence agency, it is always useful. And now let's just gather up the air force and exercise it. And that is pretty much all of the prep out of the way, so all that's left to do now is our focus, the path of Marxism and Leninism, go up to speed 5, and begin. And now we're just going to hold focus so we can get a justification going. There we go, 50, that should be enough. Now we'll wait a few more days and then we'll start focus. There we go, 10 political power. We now also need to choose which opposition we're going to be going with today, left or right. And today, it's going to be the right. It's my favourite of the two anyway, always like to play it. Next up, let's divert attention towards the military and begin our state expansion. Our base will be in Archangelisk, and I'm going to try to expand up to Murmansk and down to Volgodiya. In the meanwhile, of course, I'll do things to keep Stalin's paranoia down, such as satisfactory production reports and purge events when they fire. They really didn't want Yugoda around this game, did they? Oh well. Anyway, next up, the need for policy changes. Really, I just want that extra political power. Anyway, now let's frame an army officer. And here's the first event that By Blood alone has actually broken. In the past, purging a general would at least remove some political paranoia, but as you can see right now, it doesn't do anything. Don't know how this one managed to be broken. But anyway, sorry Krill, you have to go. So who has Stalin turned into a cow this time? It's Andrei and Andrei. Andrei, am I right? And yes, before any of you ask, framing an admiral does the same. You know what I want? Some even more political power. So let's get some from the party members themselves. And let's frame another officer. And this time it's Vasily Blucher. How unfortunate, considering he's our field marshal right now, and will join us when our civil war starts. But oh well, there's no place in the army for such men. And this time, we got Simeon Tomashenko and Konstantin Rokossovsky. So a fair trade, I suppose, especially considering Simeon's the army reformer. We now have to use Alexander Yegorov, as he will also join us. And right on time, it's the Spanish Civil War. Right, let's send over Vasily Chukov and his 6 mountaineers and some air volunteers to grind out some air XP. Actually helping the Republicans doesn't matter today, we're just here for that XP. But I mean, if you want to help them, I can't hold it against you. This revolution of ours will need some supplies, so let's get some by swaying the railway workers. Not been a good year for the NKVD, has it? I just want even more political power, so next up, let's do the Comintern. Ooh, this is a interesting event. Kuzma has just accused Mikhail Tukhachevsky. Now, there are 3 options we can do. We can purge Tukhachevsky, purge Kuzma, or there's the third option, which I don't think too many players have read. We can end the investigation without a verdict, which will mean both of them get the trait carried by Stalin. And considering that political paranoia is kind of broken right now, we can actually afford to take this. The only thing that we lose is 60 political power. But this now gives the chance for Mikhail Tukhachevsky to defect to us during the Civil War. And I'd say that's a good price to pay. If you're ever in a situation like you're doing the White Exiles and you get an event like that, if you can afford the paranoia hit, I would recommend doing that if you want a general like Tukhachevsky, Zhukov and Rokossovsky. That's the main 3 I've seen that event affect. Anyway, we now have 20 XP, let's go for inventive leadership. Funnily enough, defecting generals are actually affected by this, so by doing this we can give ourselves some extra tricksters, extra commandos, extra naval invaders. Sure, they aren't the most overpowered traits, but it's free. We may as well. This is even better if you're on something like Ground Battle Plan, where you can get theatre training. Do I dare take the risk on dissenting the party? No. Internal affairs. Sorry, Finland, but it's time. Let's go. And by doing this, we immediately disband the League of Nations. Sorry, Finland, we're gonna need all of you. Alright, our paranoia is okay-ish, so now let's do dissent in the party. And down goes Finland. Alright, let's take Karelia and a few other states that the Soviets would probably want. There we go. And now we'll puppet the rest. There we go. Funnily enough, we can now actually expand into some of these Finnish states. Should I do it? I'm probably going to regret that, but whatever. Anyway, Chukov, back to Spain with you. Kazma, I'm not going to get rid of Tukhachevsky. I'm just not. I'd rather purge you. Funny enough, that actually gives us another guy cowed, which is Leonid. Kind of annoying though. Those events are meant to reduce our paranoia, but since currently they don't work properly, our paranoia is a lot higher than it really should be. You see what I see, don't you? Our paranoia is at 68%, and by doing the centre party we get another 20%. Nope, I'm just going to cancel that focus and do it again. We should be fine after that. Funny, only a few days afterwards. Do I want to purge Zhukov? No. Right, it's time. Time for a coup d'etat. Right, it's 20 days until the Civil War starts. Let's ensure our victory by any means. First things first, gather up the Air Force and disband it. And it's gone. Next up, recruit and deploy, division designer, create empty, create new, artillery, save. Let's do that again. This time though, mobile battalions, cavalry, save. Now let's grab all of the divisions except the 18 NKVD divisions, the barrier boys. We can't do anything about them. With the remaining 114, we can change them all over to the artillery. There we go. Our stockpile now looks like this. Pretty good. Now let's delete our production line of guns. We don't want Stalin to have it. And now we're going to send absolutely everything that we can to a Spain. Once the Civil War starts, we will cancel it and get it all back. Hey, I'm not above doing this sort of thing. Makes the Civil War a hell of a lot easier. There we go, that should do the trick. And now let's just wait. I'm going to disband Vasily Chukov's divisions as late as I can, because I'm kind of hoping that he'll get organizer and infantry leader. Screw it, I'm just going to keep going. Come on. There he goes. Right, disbanded. And now, our leader. You know what? It's Rykov. He's my favourite of the two default right opposition guys anyway. Alright, it begins. First things first, let's get that Lend-Lease back. Next up, let's see the army that we now have. 36 starting divisions. Good. Right, let's change them over to that cavalry. Nice and cheap. Now I'll put them on the front line, something like this. And then we'll be heading all the way down into the Caucasus. And the generals we have? Yeah, it's who I expected it to be. We might have lost our good general, but we will have a better field marshal now. Logistics wizard and offensive doctrine for now. That's why grinding in Spain is just so useful. Anyway, 7 extra divisions, nice. The focus now. We'll just do mode plan cohesion first and rehabilitated military. Let's go, Stalin can't hold us for too long. Oh, and hey, we immediately get ourselves a defector in Leonid. Sad, he wasn't actually affected by invented leadership. I mean, there is a chance that happens, but oh well. Anyway, let's start training up 71 of our cavalry divisions to pad out our front line. Don't have enough manpower, but that's okay. We can pretty quickly go up to limited conscription. And there we go. It probably wouldn't even that matter. We'll take territory soon enough, which will give us manpower, but better safe than sorry. And already we've seized Moscow. Great. The cavalry's now here. Right, time for the next stage of the nonsense. We are going to declare war on Finland. Any puppets will stay with Stalin, but we get the ability to declare war on them instantly since they are a puppet. There they go. Finland does have a few units, but only 3. They can't do anything. Time for round 2, I believe, Finland. And down goes Finland again. So many desertions but no defections. So does anyone want to take Stalingrad? Apparently not. And here we are. The nonsense has truly begun. Because for some reason, we're in a peace conference with not just the Finnish, but the entire Soviet Union. When really we should have annexed it all via event. The peace deal has now completely broken. Seriously, all we did was declare war on Finland, and this has somehow happened. Don't know why. But what I will do is... Well, first I'm going to puppet Finland. But next I'm going to see just how much nonsense I can create. Funnily enough, since we are now in a peace conference, this is probably now the new easy way to do the achievement Soviet Onion. Just to have only puppets around you, and you'll get it. This is the most unorthodox way I can think of doing it, but it should work. But alright, that should do it. This should show what I'm talking about. There are now 3 Soviet Unions. We took one state, we puppeted Finland, and then there's the SSSR, Soviet Russia, and the Soviet Union. I have no idea why this is even a thing, but it is. But hey, victory! In name only, really. And this is interesting though. This event has now inspired talk of a Soviet reunification. I really don't know why this event exists. Is this a failsafe just in case the Soviets are split like this? We still have the war goals for civil war, so... It feels though like an unused event though. Like this should exist for something that isn't in the game. Because there's nothing that should normally happen that should require this event to exist. Oh sure, it might exist because of this very glitch, but something tells me that this was from an earlier point of development, where it was somehow possible to split the Soviet Union up. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but maybe if someone from Paradox is watching this, maybe you could tell us where this event comes from. But you know what? Let's embrace this. Maybe we can bring the Soviet Union back together again. And yes, since we don't own any of the states related to capitals, we can only have our capital in Archangelisk now. And there we go. Peaceful unification of the SSR has happened. Well, sort of. For some reason the event doesn't work if you have a puppeted Soviet Union. But hey, at least we brought parts of the Soviet Union back together. The main problem I have with this glitch is just how easy it is to pull off. This glitch could easily be stumbled on by someone who doesn't know the peace deal mechanics quite well and could end up in a situation that's much worse than this. Sure, you could eventually fix it by annexing this other Soviet Union, but considering nowadays, it's a little bit harder. Not impossible, but of course, spending all the factories, manpower, time to reintegrate them is very, very painful. So all in all, my blood alone has completely broken the Soviet Civil War. I'm sorry, I just can't, in a way, get over this. This is one of the weirdest glitches I've come across in a long time. Oh, I really hope Paradox fixes this soon. I've made a bug report on it, so in theory it should be fixed soon, but who knows when Paradox will get to it and fix it. Actually, before I leave, there is one more thing I should bring up. For some reason when I first did this, the Soviet War would never finish. I could still do the power of the peasantry, and I couldn't do something like return democracy to the party. Funnily enough, this turned out to be more beneficial, because the Civil War hadn't finished, so I could continue to get defection events, and I eventually got all the generals who had been cowed by Stalin to defect to me. That was kind of what I was hoping would happen, so I could get Mikhail Tukhachevsky and everyone else, but I think that part has been patched. However, until next time everybody, I thank you for watching, I do hope you've enjoyed it. Feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments below for future video ideas, I'm always looking for them. However, until we meet again, from the two Soviet Unions and me, Bubble Zest, goodbye.